brothers and occasional sister. How you getting on there? I thought I'd smash out a vlog. Just stand back for a moment and just go. Oh, Blackberry. The little joys in life, and that's what you need, isn't it? There's a few wee things that just give you a little bit of joy from time to time. And for me, it's jumping into this truck. I've had more than one person say, "You got any buyer's regret?" I do have buyer's regret. My regret is that I wished I'd bought the truck like 10 years ago. I've missed out on 10 years, all that fun of having Black Betty. Anyway, I hope you're well and the weekend's treated you good. My weekend's been pretty awesome actually. I've had a young fella stay with me, young Emil from Germany, 15 years of age. My brother and his partner Roni have been looking after him. He's one of those students that comes over to New Zealand to stay here and study and learn about different culture and different things, and he came to me on Friday and never ever been fishing, never been hunting, and I said, "Do you want to eat some meat while you're here?" And he said, "Oh yeah," he said, "because your brother's a vegetarian." He said, "I'm not getting much meat." I said, "Oh, aren't you?" He says, "Well, I'm getting a little bit, but not really enough." I said, "Oh, we can fix that." He said, "Well, how can we fix that?" And I said, "Well, we can go and hunt some." He goes, "Oh, I've never been hunting before." I said, "You've never been hunting?" "No." I said, "Have you been fishing?" He goes, "Never been fishing before either." I said, "Really? Imagine getting to 15 years of age and never been hunting, never been fishing." Well, that's what it's like, isn't it, for people that live in these other countries, I guess, or in the city. Lovely kid. Anyway, long story short, I said, "Well, we better teach you how to shoot. So the first thing for you to do, fella, is to learn the 7 most important rules of the New Zealand FA. FA, firearms. Oops, there goes my camera. FA is your firearms license of the safety code, the firearms safety code." And this kid was so smart, really clever. He quickly got it down. I cooked him up a feed of wild pork, a log cabin. We sat there and sat eating it, and he enjoyed it so much. And then I took him out for a hunt, and then it all changed. He shot his rabbit, but as so often happens when you're particularly starting off with hunting, it wasn't a very good kill. In fact, it was pretty crap. And I said to him, "If you wing that animal, you chase after it as fast as you can, and you put it out its misery." And he said, "Well, how am I going to do this?" And I said, "Well, you're going to do it with your hands. You're going to wring its neck." Well, that's exactly what happened. And he shot it, and I said, "Get after it, man." He ran after it. It was actually a heart shot, but the thing was still moving like they do. Jumped on it, grabbed it, wrung its neck, and then he started shaking and went pale. And I said, "Oh, how was that?" And he goes, terrifying. I said, "Well, sometimes hunting is." I said, "Do you want to keep hunting?" He goes, No, it's enough for me." And I said, "Okay, fair enough." Anyway, that night we skinned the rabbit and we took all the flesh off and we soaked it in some brine for the morning to cook. And he said to me the next morning, "I want to go hunting again." I said, "Really? I thought you were traumatised by it." And he goes, "I was, but I want to go again." So I took him again the next evening, and he got a perfect heart shot. This time dropped it on the spot. Anyway, that was my weekend. I wanted to just talk about that because it gave me so much joy. He told me that he's been here for quite a few weeks, and he said he learnt more in those 2 days than he has the whole time he's been in New Zealand. And it really made me feel like I've done something good. Felt good. This morning, got up, cooked him breakfast, gave him 3 big duck eggs. He went and picked them out of the nest, and he's really enjoying that different sort of country life, which is so cool. And I dropped them off at school. And neat kid. Anyway, we'll have a video of that coming up. I don't know how much we can show of the killing side of it because of YouTube the way they are. Anyway, I was going to talk about something different that sort of came into my head as I started talking, and I wanted to talk about suffering, because so many people that have been writing to me in the last 6 weeks are suffering. I've had so many people that have different things going on. I've got a young fella down south who's got a weight problem, who's suffering a lot. Got a bloke over in the somewhere in the Isles who's suffering in Jersey. He's been writing to me for a couple of years. I've got a lady up in the North Island who's got a disease that's terminal. She's suffering. And I've got a lot of young men that are just struggling. And I've got a lot of older guys too that are struggling with stuff. Most people are dealing either with loss or with pain or emotional suffering. And a lot of people dealing with mental anguish and feeling like hopelessness. And it's a real bad place to be in, because it's often when people take their own lives when they're feeling hopeless. And I'm here to tell you, when it comes to suffering, old Clay's been there, got the t-shirt. I think I've had more than my share of suffering. I mean, there's not many people I know of my age that have had both cancer and a severe cancer, and also heart disease and a serious heart disease like end-stage heart disease, and managed to pull themselves out of it and put the diseases in remission and get back into this world and life. Yeah, I'm looking at, I've aged a lot in the last 5-6 years, and I've lost a lot of body weight, muscle and condition, but I'm still here. And the price has been a big price, but I'm still living, and a lot of people aren't. And a lot of blokes along the way that I tried to help that didn't want to really help themselves aren't here any longer to join me on the last bit of this journey. One thing I've learned about this journey going through life is, and I am coming to the other end of my life now, probably a bit closer than most people due to what I've been through, but one thing I've learned about this life, gentlemen, and the occasional sister listening, is you really have to understand this concept if you want to survive, if you want your life to be good again, if you want to get on track, if you want to quit being a drug user or an alcohol user. And let's be clear, any form of drug, whether it's pharmaceutical or recreational, every drug carries an adverse effect of a smaller or larger degree. And there's so much evidence now, particularly around marijuana smoking, long term, what it does to the brain and thinning it. And that's just one. And I'm not against it, but any form of continuous use of anything, I mean, obviously nowhere near as bad as a drug like P that just destroys people's lives. And anybody who's on P and thinks they're going to be okay, they're deluding themselves. I have yet to meet anybody who's taken that drug who's had an end result of being okay. I just don't know one person. So what is it that you need? Well, you need to understand this concept, and the concept is very simple, and that is ultimately, if you've got all your marbles still, and I'm saying if you've got all your brain functioning like normal, like you're not getting dementia or Alzheimer's or something, if that's all functioning still, then nobody can really truly help you and is going to come along and help you. You have to help yourself. You can go to Narcotics Anonymous and sit there with a group of people who've got a drug problem, but ultimately when you walk in that room, you're still left with yourself and that bit of jelly between your ears deciding what's going to happen next. If you've got a drinking problem and you go to Alcoholics Anonymous, AA, you're still going to come out of that meeting and you're still got to go to bed at night and you're with yourself. If you've got a girlfriend you think's going to rescue you think a woman's going to save you? No. She might offer you some solutions and give you a hug and give you a bit of oxytocin or give you an orgasm or give you what makes you feel good for a moment, but ultimately you're still stuck with yourself. God is not going to help you. You can pray to God, but God helps those who help themselves, and that's in the Bible. Simple. You've got to help yourself. Your mum and dad, they're not going to help you. They'll show you the way and they'll teach you, and your father will tell you what you should do, but ultimately you've got to decide. Whatever is going wrong in your life, there's only one person on this planet who can really truly fix it, and it's up to you. It's you being accountable for your own choices that you've made. Now, on that note, I take full responsibility for even the 2 diseases I've survived. I take responsibility for getting them, as far as the cancer goes, for not doing my checks earlier, for not having the right sort of diet and being proactive, particularly knowing that it was a genetic type cancer that's in my family. And I don't blame the genetics. I switched the genes on by living badly and by not getting my checkup sooner. So I take responsibility, but I also take responsibility for getting myself well and putting the right measures. Exactly the same for heart disease. It was my fault. Gluttony, too much animal fat, too much animal protein. You cannot be every day eating meat 3 times a day and expect to have a good clinical outcome as far as saturated fat. You just can't expect it. And also all the other things compounding and being in a state of denial to what I was doing to myself. I take responsibility for getting sick, but I also take responsibility for getting myself well. It wasn't my doctor that got me well. Certainly wasn't my cardiologist. I don't take any of the medications I was supposed to be put on 5 years ago. I didn't get the stent I was supposed to get. What I did was I took full responsibility for it, and I changed my whole lifestyle. I got my pain under better management. I got my sleep under better management. I got my stress under better management. And The one that's the big one is I got my diet way better. I went to a strict whole food plant-based diet with no dairy, no animal fat or protein, no refined carbohydrates, no oils, 0 oils, and limited amount of salt, just the very bare minimum to get, you need sodium, so just a bare minimum, and no caffeine, no alcohol, no drugs, and that includes all the drugs the doctor wanted to give me. And for the best part, I'm pretty good. But that's a bloody hard one, particularly for someone who's a hunter to take on. But that's me taking responsibility, me. And that's why I've got my health back. It's very, very hard for us to give up things that we hang on to for our lifestyle. Most people can't do it. But if you are in a place of suffering, of bad health, of unwellness, one of the things that is a main driver, if not the main driver in pain, in physical pain, is your inflammatory markers. So we've got our normal inflammatory markers, C-reactive protein, and then we've got what goes through our blood, which is HSCRP, it's high sensitive C-reactive protein. My markers for my HSCRP were so high, it was imminent I was going to have a stroke or a heart attack. Today, at the other end of the scale, today they're not just low, not just very low, but as the doctor says, and my doctor says this on the notes in Marpur Medical Centre, very, very, very low. So off the scale low. And it's the same with my ApoB. Used to be like 123, 124, now it's 83, like way below and going down in the right direction. We need cholesterol, but we need good cholesterol. We don't want to have high ApoB cholesterol. We don't want that. That's atherogenic lipids in your blood. We want to have high HDL. That's high lipid. That's the high HDL. God, what is it? Mind fart. Can't think of it. I know what it is, but the brain's not quite functioning on a little bit of lack of sleep today. My bad. Anyway, what I'm saying, brothers, is you have to be the one that looks after you. Your girlfriend ain't going to do it, your mum ain't going to do it, and God ain't going to do it, and I'm not going to do it. We can all jump in and say what you need to do, but ultimately it's up to you. So if you are struggling with anything, and I mean anything, whether it's end-stage disease or physical pain, mental pain, addiction, emotional pain, if the woman you love has left you and you're trying so bad to get her, and you're never going to get her, and you're trying and you just think, I can't live without her, well, that's going to start with one thing, doesn't it? You've got to accept what you don't want to accept. She doesn't love you anymore, and move on. So hard to do, so almost impossible to do, but that's the only way you can close that door before another door opens and you can love again. It's the same if you're obese. If you're overweight, then you know what you've got to start doing. You've got to adopt a healthy lifestyle, which starts with what you put in your mouth. You make the decision. If you've got a drug problem, you're hooked on heavy A-class drugs, first of all, you've got to admit to yourself, I have a drug problem. What am I going to do? I'm going to get help and support to stop it. You get the help and support, but it's you making a decision. So whilst I'm saying no one else will help you, they will help you if you ask for the support. And that's where people fall short. And if you're in a state of clinical depression, you don't want to talk to anybody. You don't want to go out and see anyone if you're clinically depressed. But you have a responsibility if you're clinically depressed. You have a responsibility to not only your community around you and all the people that you engage in, but to yourself, to be well. So then you need to take action. Even if you're depressed, you've got to take action. You've got to make that call and first of all talk to your GP and say, listen, I'm in a really bad state, I need help. And then he can refer you to a specialist. But it all comes down to you. And it could be the smallest of things that changes your whole life. You could talk to somebody that says, hey, try this, and then you've got a road to go down. You find a path, a way to get out. Sometimes it feels like in life that you're down a cul-de-sac and there's no way out. You can't see any way out. It's a one-way street, and the way you came is going to lead to death and destruction, and there's no way further to go. That's how I felt when I was told how bad my heart disease was, and I thought there's no way I'm ever going to get out of this. And then I started doing the research, and suddenly that cul-de-sac that I was down, suddenly I found a wee avenue that went to a side, and it said, this has been clinically proven to not only arrest heart disease but reverse it. And I was like, holy shit, it's the worst thing I could possibly think of having to do, but I have to do it. That was 3 years and 3 months ago. That's how long ago it was. It was May 3 years ago. Anyway, These are only my thoughts and only my views on things that I've found that have worked for me, but I thought it was worth a share, and you can embrace it or you can just disregard it and keep on doing what you're doing. But if you do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got. And if what you got right now is not too flash, maybe it's time to change the pattern. Maybe it's time to give something else a crack. Just make a change, and make a change for the better, because you can do better. You owe it to yourself. We've only got a limited amount of time here. It's a blessing to be here, and you want to make every day as beautiful as you can. You want to find joy in every little thing as much as you can. You want to try to be positive about everything, because for the best part, most of our lives we can hope for, and the people particularly overseas right now suffering, and there's so much suffering going on overseas, but the most we can hope for is ordinary unhappiness. There's people right now in Gaza Strip that have got incredible suffering. There's people right now in the Ukraine got incredible suffering. In Africa right now, my God, we're not even hearing about what's going on Sudan. Terrible, terrible suffering. There's people in Asia right now suffering. What we have in New Zealand is sort of ordinary unhappiness for the best part. Most of our happiness is going on in that bit of jelly between our ears, and that's fixable. Totally fixable, but it starts off with us all making a change, and it's not easy. It's not easy. So reach out for the help that you need from somebody. Whether you've a problem with drugs, go to Narcotics Anonymous. Become a man, take responsibility, man up and deal with your pain and your addiction and your problem. Deal with it. Do it for the sake of your family, the sake of the people you love and the people that love you, but most of all for yourself, so you can be better in our community. Just do it. Take action. Not tomorrow, not in a week's time. Today, do it. Take action. You know, I'm giving myself a kick up the arse every day when I find myself slipping, and sometimes I do slip. Sometimes I feel I want to eat my old foods I used to eat again, and I give myself a good kick up the arse, and I remind myself just how sick I was. And every time I see somebody, like I've just been into hunting and fishing shop today, see a young fella on there, he's been going to the gym for a year, and he was really obese, and I said, bro, you are looking fantastic. And he is. And he said, yeah, I've been going to the gym for a year. And I was like so proud of him. He's made the change. I said to him, bro, it's 20% exercise, 80% diet to get your body good. So you get your diet good, then the body really starts to perform really well. And he's done that. He's got a food plan and he's got a workout plan. He gets up at 4 every morning. Wow, what an awesome dude. He's only 25. You know, he's gone from being obese to now he's looking really good. He's not going to just survive, that dude. He's going to thrive. That's all of us. We don't have to just survive. We can thrive. But it starts off by us being proactive and looking after us. So I'm going to end this video now by saying, if you think somebody's going to come and rescue you, think again. You have to rescue you. I don't believe in evil. I hear this terminology. I heard it this morning. This guy was having a conversation at the service station talking about something this other guy did up north. He said, oh man, the guy's just evil. I said, he's not fucking evil. He's just got a few screws loose. Evil makes it too easy. Evil means like, oh, some demons came into him, did it, or the devil came into him, made him do it, or some force from outside. That takes the responsibility away from him. He's accountable for his actions. He did it because he wanted to fucking do it. And it's the same for everything we do. There is no real such thing as evil. What he did was evil, but he's the one that was the driver. It wasn't from an outside force. Mind you, if you're of some faith, you might believe otherwise, but I believe that we're all responsible for our actions and we should be accountable for them. And only then can we evolve and make better of ourselves. As always, brothers, only my opinions, not necessarily correct. That was my 2 cents worth on looking after ourselves, and I hope it's been of some service to you. I'm going to go home now and put my new burner in the back there in my log cabin because the other one's stuffed. And I've got my new dog collars. Finally came from Garmin after waiting for bloody months. Hunting season's nearly over. Fuck, they're useless. And that came from the Ukraine. Isn't that beautiful? Rabbit skin hat. The little joys in life, things that make you happy for a moment, but really, the real thing that really makes us happy is actually services to other people. That's what gives me the most joy, helping other people out, and I think you'll agree with me too. helping our brothers and helping our sisters. Have a great day, smash it out, have a good week, and I'll see you soon. Go steady, see you later. Right, just crank this beautiful machine in the guts. Can't even find me bloody keys. I like the sound of it when you start it. Where's my keys gone? Geez, Clay, you lose your balls though in a bag. They're in my pocket. It's a V8, but it has just got standard exhaust, so it stands pretty. Still rocks to the side a little bit when you kick it in the guts, you know. That's another one of the joys in life. See ya.